Here, looking at the reading three study questions from this excerpt from Plato's Republic, from Book 9 of Plato's Republic. Number one, what are the three parts of the soul? It's a difficult word. The Greek word for soul is psyche, where we get the words psychology, things like that. But it doesn't just mean the mind. It's difficult to say what the soul is because, well, we get a notion of what he might mean by the soul by considering what are the three parts of the soul. First of all, there is the so-called multi-headed beast, and that's the appetites or desires. So part of our soul is our desires, our urges, our wants and needs, and things like appetites. Second part is what he calls the lion, what Socrates calls the lion. That's difficult too. In other parts of the Republic, it's called the spirited part, the part that can get angry. I like to think of it as the willpower, the will. And then finally, there's what he calls the human being, or man inside the man, or human being inside the human being, to make it more inclusive. Socrates says man, or I don't know. Actually, the Greek probably isn't man; it's probably anthropos, which just really means human being. So that's probably the better translation. The human being within the human being, and that's our rationality, our capacity to think, understand, reason. Those are the three parts. So we have the smallest part, reason, or the human being within the human being. We have the larger lion, or let's just call it willpower. And then finally, you have the largest part, the desires, the multi-headed beast. Number two, in what order does the just person arrange the parts of their soul? I hope it's clear from the reading. It may not be completely against. Other parts of the Republic have laid this out in much more detail, but they're longer readings. In what order does the just person arrange the parts of their soul? The important thing is that reason, or the human being within you, is in control of the rest. That's the key, right? The just person is the person whose reason or intellect or thinking part makes the decisions and sets the goals and decides what to do, as opposed to one of these other parts, that the just person, reason or rationality, the human within the human, rules over the rest. In what order does the unjust one do it? Well, the unjust person, by definition, is anybody who's ruled by one of the other parts that's not reason, really the desires. Right? Thrasymachus, he really characterized what Thrasymachus is advocating about the benefits of being unjust is putting the multi-headed beast or the desires in control, like they determine what you do. So that is to be unjust. So injustice inside a person is whenever one of these other parts is in control and dominant rather than reason. Number three, do you believe that there is a better and worse part of you? Why or why not? Obviously, matter of opinion. The important thing is to see that that's the kind of thinking that Plato, and as we see, Aristotle, engages in, the better and the worse. There is, in Socrates' mind, yes, there is a better part of us, and it's called reason. It's the more human part. It's the part that makes us human as opposed to mere animals, right? All animals have desires. We're no different in that respect. What makes us different is that we have a reason and rationality which can control those desires in a way that other animals are incapable. So that's what he believes. Do you believe that there's a better part of you that should be in control as opposed to worse that should be controlled? I don't know. Number four, obviously, something we talked about in class. Is it good for the better to rule over the worse? I left that purposely ambiguous. Does that mean the better part of an individual should rule over the worst parts of the individual? Does that mean that the better part of the community should rule over the worst part of the community? I do believe that what Socrates is arguing is both. His political philosophy depends upon this notion that there's a better part within each individual that deserves to rule over the rest, the worst part, and then extending that by analogy to the human community so that the better people should rule over the worst people. So I left that open, ambiguous, because I want you to think about it and work it out for yourself, whether you really believe that. Because he certainly believes it. And I think Aristotle believes it too. That is, not only within each individual, but within a community, there's a better part. And the best situation is when that better part, so called better part, rules over the rest.